All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My good friend Alyssa is going to help us present the Spektrum Plus system. We are going to go through the product categories, how to operate the app, the benefits of Spektrum Plus and smart lighting in general. For all of our reps that are on the call, you should have received samples so that you can follow along with us, or we could do individual trainings afterwards. For any distributors that have joined the call, please reach out if you're interested in getting samples. We would definitely be more than happy to send you a few of our great new products that we now have in stock. So without further ado, let's talk about the highly anticipated Spektrum Plus.
Can I just make one comment first? Because I know that there's going to be a lot of questions throughout this. One thing that we ask is if you could just type your questions into the chat. We have Mr. Jason Elrod at the ready to answer any questions that you have. So just go ahead and type them in rather than unmuting yourself to ask a question, because we are on a time limit here.
All right, very good point. So Jason is our VP of Sales and Marketing, has been here for 24 years, so he will be able to answer any questions that come up.
All right, marketing team, let it rip.
All right, so smart lighting market. Before we start diving into what Spektrum Plus is, we want to talk about how big the market is growing and why so many people have started adopting this technology. So according to several surveys that are out there, in 2021, the smart lighting market was valued at $13.2 billion. If you look at the map next to those stats, you can see that certain countries have adopted it quicker than the US. So the US and Europe are on the uptick for how much they will start to spend on smart lighting systems. In 2026, the global market will be $37 billion. And then year over year, we're going to have a 17% increase on smart lighting products from 2021 to 2026. And one of the main factors for smart lighting is that it helps us conserve energy. The smart lighting products that are coming out into the field are LED, so there's already naturally energy savings there. But through your smart home system, you're able to turn off the lights when you leave, have them in use only when you're at home, monitor your usage, and then decide which fixtures you want on. So for example, if you're going into your living room, you can set just 6 downlights to come on versus having all 12 of them come on at the same time. And it's forecasted that North America is expected to dominate the market during the forecast period. So from now until 2026, we see a steady rise of smart lighting products. That is also why you're starting to see a lot more competition come into the market. We all know Philips Hue, some of the other big ones that are out there. So today we are going to talk about how our product differs from what's already in the market. All right, so let's talk about what Spektrum Plus is. So there's lots of different smart lighting systems that are out in the market right now. The main differences between them is the protocol that they're using to communicate with each device or fixture. So with Spektrum Plus, it's important to know that this system is sending a signal through Bluetooth mesh. So we call it Bluetooth SIG mesh because it's a certified protocol that allows fixtures to communicate with one another using Bluetooth. So it's not like your old school Bluetooth where it's one-to-one device. This will actually create a network of devices. So whether it's your switch, your hub, a downlight, a puck light, a landscape light, each one of these fixtures are going to have a Bluetooth mesh chip embedded into each one of them. So they're able to communicate or create a network of fixtures that communicate with one another. Quickly to review, there's a lot of debate about what protocol is best for the smart lighting products that are coming out into the market. So just to quickly review, the 3 main protocols are going to be Wi-Fi, Zigbee, and Bluetooth. Like we just discussed, the Spektrum Plus system is Bluetooth mesh. And another very popular protocol is Wi-Fi. So if we look at this chart right here, you can see that the number of fixtures that you can control with Wi-Fi is much less than what you can control with Bluetooth mesh. And we're going to talk about why that is. So with Wi-Fi, there's less than 20 fixtures that you'll be able to operate using your home router. So if we think about our homes, how many routers are actually put into our home? It's about one. There's some people that have larger homes, they might have several routers, but you would only be able to connect 20 devices to that one router. Okay, you would not need a hub for this. And then with your signal and how fast it can go, Wi-Fi can deliver the data packets faster than Bluetooth, which is not a huge concern when it comes to smart lighting because Wi-Fi is used to stream videos, music. So you really need that fast response time in order to send that much data. With Bluetooth, we're sending small informational packet sizes. So even though it's low with the transmission rate, you're still able to control your lights quickly without noticing that lag. Also, the cost of Bluetooth mesh chips is much lower than using something like a Zigbee chip, which is very expensive and is typically used with home automation systems like Control4 or Lutron HomeWorks. So this is a very affordable, reliable, and gives you a bigger offering when it comes to using it in residential or commercial applications. All right, so what does Spektrum Plus do? So some of you are aware that we had a first generation of Spektrum. The new version is Spektrum Plus. There are lots of new features that you're going to see with the new app. Just to talk about a few of them, we have full RGB TW color control through all of our fixtures. So whether it's your bulb, BR30, oh, sorry, your puck light, your floodlights, everything is going to be RGB TW, which is going to give you the option of using 6 million colors or tuning your whites anywhere from 27 to 6000 K. We also have pre-programmed features into the app that are basically used for wellness. So during the pandemic, a lot of people were spending more time at home. They wanted their lights to follow the rhythm of the sun. So through the app, you're able to do that. So we're going to talk more about the hub and the cloud-based services, but with your hub, you're able to basically figure out what the weather looks like outside. So you can see when the sun is coming up, when it's starting to set, so that your lights can follow that pattern. You can also use it for daylight harvesting, where there's a sensor that will say, okay, the sun is coming down, there's cloud cover, increase the lumens of my fixtures. So it's very intuitive and gives you the ability to change your lights depending on the weather, depending on what's going on in the room. You can also use it for home security. So with these sensors that are coming out in phase 2, currently they are not part of the system, but with the sensors, you would have a window sensor. Once that window is open, you could trigger it to where all your lights turn red and start flashing. So definitely a great feature when it comes to home security. You can also control your lights from anywhere in the world. So you could be on vacation, decide to turn on your front porch light. You could be at work and be like, oh, I forgot to turn off the kitchen light, and be able to do that from work. You also have cloud control. So previously in the Spektrum initial launch, we did not have the ability to control our fixtures through the cloud, nor were we able to set scenes and schedules that were stored in the cloud so that we had faster response times. Last but not least, we also have voice control that's available through Spektrum Plus. All right, so let's talk about the breadth of products. So the initial Spektrum launch, which was several years ago, we had just a few products that we could use through our system. We have added several products to the new launch. So on this one, you see that we have both a BR30 lamp and then an A19 lamp. Alyssa is going to demonstrate what the A19 looks like, how it works with the app later in the presentation, but these are pretty common lamps that are used throughout people's homes. So again, all of these fixtures have a Bluetooth chip embedded into them and is sending a signal wirelessly to every fixture that is in the home. So there's no reason to have a signal wire, separate power supply. These are all 120-volt products with a chip embedded to send the signal across several fixtures. So with your A19 lamp, you're going to get about 800 lumens. And then with your BR, you're looking at 650 lumens. And then we do have retail pricing listed on the PowerPoint that we will send out to everyone. The BR30 is retailing at $51.80 and the A19 is retailing for $45.40. So if you were to go out into the market and start looking at other competitors in this space, you will notice that our fixtures, I'm a little biased, I think they're superior. So a superior fixture is being sold at a lower cost, and it has the functionality of doing a lot more than what systems are available to do currently in the market. We also have retrofit downlights. So same as we had before, we have a 4 and a 6-inch version. I'm going to get ahead of the question before anyone asks. It only is available in a baffle. There is no smooth version, but we are looking at adding that to the line. They are both RGBTW. They are 120-volt fixtures, so it goes into an existing housing, or for new construction, someone would put in a housing above the drywall would go up, and then you would be able to pop those fixtures into the ceiling. Everything that we're going to talk about today has a 90+ CRI. We'll have a 5-year warranty attached to it. They're all FCC regulated, which is a part of the government or agency that is going to regulate communication between fixtures. And retail price on these is $57.70 for a 4-inch and $68.50 for the 6-inch. All right, new to the line, and we're very excited about. A lot of people like to decorate for the holidays, and this is a great permanent install that allows you to be festive year round. So we have our landscape light. Few things I want to mention that with that. So with the landscape fixtures, we sell them in kits of 3 fixtures. So you'll get 3 of your fixtures, and then you're going to get a 96-watt power supply. With that 96-watt power supply, you're able to link up to 8 fixtures. So your kit's going to have 3, and then there is a part number where you can individually add those fixtures to make up to 8. If you exceed 8, you will need to buy a new 3 light kit and then add on to that. There is also jumpers available. So for example, if you want to space 2 of those fixtures 10 feet apart, you would use a 10-foot jumper in order to do that. And then we have the wall sconce. So we have an up, down, and then just a down fixture. Again, 120-volt with the capabilities of doing RGBTW. This is being used a lot right outside your front door. That way you can change the lights depending on what season, what mood you're in, what team is playing, so on and so forth. All right, so one of the most exciting components that we have in the Spektrum Plus line is going to be the smart receiver. So our smart receiver is able to communicate with any low voltage fixture that we have within the line. So the puck light is also 24-volt DC, so you would be able to wire that to your receiver. Your single color tape, color changing, tunable, all of this can be connected to this receiver, which is housing your Bluetooth mesh chip and allowing you to communicate with your other fixtures. This is very similar to the receiver that we had previously, but if you look close, and you're probably not going to be able to see it on this video, but there are dip switches inside of this receiver that will allow you to set what the fixture type is. So for example, if you had a tunable fixture that you were wiring into this receiver, you would want to set the receiver for a tunable fixture. That is telling the app what screen to pull up. So rather than having a color wheel and a tuning screen, you would just have the tuning screen because that's the only capabilities that that product has. What we saw in previous versions of Spektrum is that if you weren't going in and setting what the fixture type was, there was confusion, the app would crash, and then it would also mess up your groupings within the app. So now it's being done through the receiver and communicating that information to the app.
Let me take a note here, just because with original Spektrum, there was quite a bit of confusion on controlling tape light with the Spektrum app, and it was implied that to use a Spektrum receiver, you needed RGB plus tunable white tape light. In fact, everyone got really comfy in calling it Spektrum tape, but that is not the case. So just to reiterate, you can dim single color tape light with this receiver from the app on your phone. You can do white tuning from 27 to 6000K on our tunable pucks or tape light. You can do just RGB, just RGBW, or that RGB plus tunable white, as everyone so lovingly refers to as Spektrum 2.
Thank you, Alyssa. She is right. And another reminder is it works with any low voltage product. So not that I am advocating for this, but if you wanted to take someone else's product that was low voltage, wire it up to our receiver, it would still be compatible.
You mean to say that our competitors, we can control their lighting and use it on our cool app?
Yes.
That's helpful.
We also have our Spektrum Plus wireless smart switch. So very similar to the old switch that we had. It's battery operated, so you don't have to wire into a single gang box, but you could screw it into your single gang box and then put your plate over it. It's one switch to rule them all. So no matter if you have single color, tunable, RGB, RGBTW, this switch would be able to control it. So when you look up at the screen, you can see that there's several buttons on here. So you have the one in the top corner that says C and W. That is your warm white and cool white. So that's going to allow you to tune your colors. Then you have your RGB, which is going to control color. Then in the middle, you have your quick scene selection. So with this, you could set a scene, and you would do that by setting the lights to whatever color you want for your scene. Say you want it to be at 3000 K. That's what your standard is. You would hold down this button once the lights are at 3000 K. The lights will flash, letting you know that that scene has been saved into your switch. And every time you hit that button, you will go back to your 3000 K. You also have your dimming and brightness. So the light bulb with the little light symbols going out of it, that is to increase the brightness. Then you have just your regular bulb. If you were to hold that down, that is going to dim your fixture. But if you do a quick tap, that's going to turn the fixture on and off. Oh, I do want to address one more thing, sorry. In the previous Spektrum line, we did have a switch as well that was battery operated. The problem is that we had it set up where the firmware was being updated constantly, and that was draining the battery. So the battery was only maybe lasting 2 or 3 weeks, and then you would have to go and replace it. That is no longer the case. So all of the firmware updates is going to happen through the hub, which we will talk about in a second, which in my opinion is the most important component of the whole Spektrum system. Yes. So you will not have to do that through the switch. All of your firmware updates will be done through the hub.
Tell us about this important hub, Jennifer.
Honestly, this probably should have been the first slide of the PowerPoint, but hindsight 2020. So the hub is the most important component in your whole entire system. With the previous Spektrum, you didn't need the hub. Rarely did we sell a hub with the Spektrum system, but that is where some complications came into play. Some people would complain that they would go into their app, they would set a color, they would leave the app, and they would come back and half of their fixtures would be grayed out because it wasn't getting that signal ping to them. So it would automatically shut off. You'd have to return them on so that you're pinging that fixture. With the hub, you are basically taking Wi-Fi, that's how it's communicating to the hub, and then sending out a Bluetooth mesh signal to all of your fixtures. So without this hub, your time for reaction time between fixtures is going to be much slower. It's not going to be consistent. You're not going to be able to save scenes or settings or do automation or tap to run, which we will talk about here shortly. So the hub is the key to your success. So whether or not you plan on using all the fancy features that are part of the Spektrum app, we definitely recommend getting the hub because it's going to increase your response time. It's going to make your signal more reliable. And when you come back to the app after not using it for days, maybe even weeks, your fixtures will still show that they are active and live, and you can start using those fixtures right away. And the one thing that I didn't mention that I should mention across the board is that your signal range is 25 meters or 80 feet. So your fixtures will need to be within 80 feet of each other for that signal to bounce off one another to create your network. So your switch, let's say you're just doing one bulb and a table lamp, you would need to make sure that this switch is within 80 feet of this bulb in order to get it to communicate. All right. This is where lovely Alyssa takes it away to talk about the app, how to bind your fixtures, how to do all the cool features we just talked about. She even has an A19 for her example, so you guys can see how cool the color and white is.
All right, folks, it's showtime. We're getting into the meat and potatoes of this program. So our rep force, as we mentioned earlier, you should have all received sample bulbs in the mail. And I'm guessing that most of you have already played around with the app because who could resist? Am I right? So this first slide is going to be about setting up your account. So on my trusty little iPad here, I've already set up accounts so that we can control all the lighting behind me. But if you have not set up your account, this is a super simple instruction on how to do so. First things first, you got to download the app. So you can get it on the Apple App Store. Otherwise, you can get it on the Google Play Store as well. On the Google Play Store, just make sure that you're typing in Spektrum with a K plus Smart Lighting. We've had a couple of folks that say, yeah, we can't find it. Just got to keep typing. It'll come up. Okay, so once we download that app, first things first, you're just going to register by entering your email address. And when you do that, you're going to get a verification code in an email almost instantly. And you're going to take that couple-digit code and ping it in to your registration. And then that way you can set up a password. So it's a super simple way to set up an account. There's no delay. There's no one here that's got to confirm you or get you set up. It's easy peasy pumpkin pie. Next slide. Thank you. All right, so let's get into adding Spektrum plus fixtures. So I'm going to do this with you guys, but I'm going to talk you through it first, and then I'm going to jump on my iPad and pair this nice little bulb. So first up first, there's two ways that you can add your first fixture, and that's going to be clicking the little plus sign in the top right corner, or you can click on add device in the center of the screen. So let me tell you guys, there's nothing easier than doing an iPad from upside down. I assure you. Okay, so let me turn on the bulb here. Okay, see how it's flashing blue? That means that it's ready to pair. So from here, I'm going to click my little plus button up here, and boom, baby, it automatically pops up that there's a bulb ready to pair to the system. We don't even have to go looking for it. It just popped right up. So because this bulb is in pairing mode and I have one device ready to be added, I'm just going to click go to add. We already have this checked, and we're just going to hit this little plus sign up here where it says Bluetooth device, and it's going to go into pairing mode. Now this might take about 30 seconds or so to pair the device. It's not instant, but it's certainly not a slow process. See, like that, that wasn't even 30 seconds. Okay. So we have our A19 paired. You can see that it defaulted to a full bright 3000K color temperature.
Alyssa, I have a quick question.
Yes, dear.
Did you put the Wi-Fi on before you started doing all this?
No, I don't even know what our Wi-Fi password is.
It is recommended, but she did not do it. And you need 2.4 gigahertz in order to get it to operate correctly.
That is correct. That's an important point. 2.4 gigahertz. If you're running up a 5 gigahertz system, no bueno. 2.4.
Like how she dismissed me, and yet it's a very important part of the system.
Okay, so now that I have our lamp added, we're going to hit done here. And it's just confirmed. We have it added. We're going to hit done again. And now we can go through and there we go. Control our fixture. So one of the big questions that we've gotten, actually, you know what? Let's go back here. We've gone through all of this. Adding a Spektrum fixture. We've done it. You watched it here live. Okay, so before we get into creating the groups, I'm just going to show you super quickly how to control one of these fixtures. So here I have our bulb, and it's currently set on white tuning. So I'm going to take it down to a 2700K, and then we can take it back up, cool it down all the way to a 6000, and we have our dimming bar down here. Now, if I would like to take off my CCP tuning and turn on RGB, I can do so. And now I have my nice color wheel to change the bulb to whatever color I would like. So it's super easy. Again, we can dim it down there. we have full control of our bulb. But let's get into groups. And unfortunately, I just have one bulb right here. So I'm going to show you a group that we have already made. And the group that we already have made, I'm going to choose on in cabinet. So I think that you guys can see behind me the in cabinet fixtures. So I'm going to go into this group, and if you look behind you, you should see all those. And now I'm just controlling all of the fixtures that are in the cabinet behind me. So we can do the RGB. We can also do the CCT, so that we can just do regular white inside of the cabinets as well. So I created a couple different groups in this room that you can see here. I have a group for all fixtures in the room. I have under cabinet, in cabinet, toe kick. You can't really see our toe kick, but I promise you we have a beautiful one down below. Backsplash, over cabinet. We have all sorts of different groups. So if we want to control everything separately, but all the different groups together, we can definitely do that. So just to walk you through the PowerPoint of how to create a group, the first thing that you're going to do is from the home screen, you're going to tap on the device name that you want to add to a group. So you can see here, we chose that. Oh, I'm going blind in my old age. I assume that says 6-inch downlight. Yeah, sure it does.
Yeah.
All right, so 6-inch downlight. And then from there, we're going to tap on that little hamburger in the top right, which is going to give you a couple settings on the next screen. And one of those settings is called Create Group, which is what we're going to click on to create our group. And then from there, we can tap the devices that we would like to add to our grouping. So once we've tapped our devices, in this case, we have 2 downlights. We're going to hit save again in the top right. We're going to assign a name to the group. In this case, it would be kitchen lights. But like I showed you earlier, we have a couple here. We have our toe kick, backsplash, so on and so forth. And then once we name our group, we're going to hit save. And now that the group is created, we can control all of the fixtures in that group to do the same thing at the same time. Okay, now another way to keep you organized in the app, because sometimes we're putting these into some pretty large homes where there's a whole bunch of different rooms. You want to split those out so they're not all on one page, so we can keep things nice and organized. So a little bit of a difference between a room and a group, because I know that's come up. Let's just use a home for example. So while we might have kitchen or master bedroom or living room, within those rooms, we can have groups. So like our kitchen here, our mock kitchen here, we have under cabinet, over cabinet group. We have the toe kick group. So you can add groups into a room. So to make a room, we're going to go into the room management screen under settings. And then we're just going to go in and start adding rooms. So we give you a couple suggestions of what you can name a room, but you're allowed to name it something custom. Maybe it's Jennifer's room or Alyssa's room. You can be as specific as you'd like. So you're just going to name it whatever you'd like and then hit save. And then you can tap on the room that you created. And once you tap on the room that you've created, you're able to add those devices that you would like to live in that room, essentially. So once you have those devices tapped and clicked, they'll have a little green check mark next to them. You can hit save, and now those fixtures will be appearing in both of the all fixtures room and the room that you put them into. All right, changing color in CCT. Guess what? I already did that, but you know what? We'll do it again just for funsies. Okay, I'm going to go back into my A19 that I have here. And again, currently I have it on RGB. Nope, I don't. Now I have it on RGB. It's so hard to get it from the other direction. There we go. Okay.
So can we talk about that really quick? Because I've had confusion. So when the button that says RGB is blue, does that mean it's on or off?
Okay, so that is a great question because sometimes that can be a little confusing. When your RGB and CCT buttons, we have RGB over here, CCT over here. The RGB, when it is white, means that we have RGB control over the fixture currently, so that we can change to whatever color that we would like. But let's say that party time is over and we want to go to regular CCT. We can turn on our CCT. So now it is white instead of blue. And now we can change our color temperature of our lamp and dim it down as well. Now, what happens if we have both? Because we can turn on both. And that's what we would want to use if we want to do some color mixing to add, say, like a pastel. If we're trying to achieve a lighter color, we can mix both the RGB and the CCT. So just to go through that on the PowerPoint.
But you cannot have both RGB and CCT off at the same time.
That's correct.
Yes.
You would have to turn, if you want to turn it off, you can turn off your fixture. But you cannot have them both off at the same time. So like we discussed, you can kind of see there on the slides what the blue and the white looks like to say if RGB or CCT is engaged or if that's what you're controlling. And we have our white tuning around the color wheel. Far to the left is going to be our 2700K warm white. Far to the right is going to be our 6000K cool white. And then that color wheel in the middle, we can use to achieve what 6 million different colors. Okay, and like I mentioned before, we do have color mixing so that we can achieve the perfect color. And then we can also add presets. So if there's a certain color that we like, and in this case, I'm just going to call it like an American Lighting blue. That's nice, right? I want to save that so I can recall it for next time. I'm just going to hit this little plus sign down here. And now I have a preset so that every time I want to recall that beautiful American Lighting blue, I can just hit that blue button on the bottom. And you can do that with any color or CCT and light level that you'd like. Okay, now the Spektrum Hub capabilities, and I know that Jennifer really hit it home earlier on why that hub is so important, but I just want to go through it just one more time. So if you do not have the Spektrum Hub, we'll start with that. Maybe we're going bare bones here. Without the Spektrum Hub, we can do RGB color changing. We can do white tuning from 27 to 6000K. We can do a mix of both. We can also do that super fun dance to music feature so that I can listen to live music playing in the background. We can create scenes and we can also do effects. And some of those effects are having a static color. We can do a flash or a super smooth breathe feature. And I know that that was something that Spektrum, the original Spektrum, did not offer that Spektrum Plus does. Is everyone wanted the ability to cycle through colors, you know? You wanted to maybe go between green and red for Christmas or orange and purple for Halloween, or just go through the whole cycle of the rainbow. The original Spektrum couldn't achieve that, but the new Spektrum with the effects can definitely do that. You've probably been watching behind me. I have our fixtures back here. They were on an effect that I like to call party time, so that it just goes through all the colors of the rainbow. That's things that you can set up to make custom so that they change to the exact speed that you'd like, the exact color that you'd like, and the exact intensity that you would like. So that's what we can achieve without a hub.
Do you know what else you get without a hub?
What?
Lots of headaches. You definitely want to use the hub.
That's right. So with the hub, we can create schedules. So if we want our lighting to pop on at sunrise and turn off at sunset, we can do that. If we want to be able to control our lights away from home, we need the hub to be able to do so. If we want to do super simple circadian rhythm lighting, where our lighting is changing based on the cycle of the sun in our local area, we can do that as well. And it also is needed to incorporate voice control. So your Amazon Alexas and Google Homes of the world. All right, so let's get down to the comparison between Spektrum and Spektrum Plus, because if you have been with us for a while, you probably got nice and comfy selling Spektrum, and you're wondering how different Spektrum Plus is. So let's go through a couple things and talk about the benefits. So both Spektrum and Spektrum Plus had the ability to control all types of low voltage lighting. It didn't matter if you had the Spektrum receiver or the Spektrum Plus receiver, like we mentioned earlier. You can control any low voltage lighting. Maybe it's tape light, maybe it's a puck, maybe it's a low voltage undercap. Nextly, you were both able to create schedules and scenes. So you can do that with both the apps, whether it's creating the perfect scene to what you'd like in a particular room, or maybe it's you want your lighting to come on 5 minutes before you go upstairs for coffee. You can set those schedules and the scenes on both systems. Next, you have the ability to control with both Alexa and Google Home. So as we know, with both the Spektrum and the Spektrum Plus, we needed that gateway, that hub to achieve that. But we have that controllability in both apps. And then in both apps, we offer that 4 and 6 inch downlight. But as we know, we just went over it with Jennifer, that we really increased the amount of fixtures in the offering for Spektrum Plus. For example, we had that A19 that I just showed you here. We had a BR30 lamp as well these days. We also came out with that landscape system and that Volta wall sconce. I know that you know that Volta is a beautiful fixture and it's very popular. Now we have it in Spektrum controllability. We have the ability to set custom color cycles. So like I mentioned before, I have the party time cycle going behind me. So it's just going through that Roy G. Biv cycle of the rainbow that you could not do before on original Spektrum. We have the ability to control fixtures away from home. That is something that you could not do with the original app that you can do once we add that hub into the Spektrum Plus system. We have simple circadian rhythm settings. And by that, I mean, the difference between the Spektrum and the Spektrum Plus app is the Spektrum Plus app will actually locate where the fixtures are installed and be able to know when there's sunrise, when there's sunset, and what the weather is currently in your area as well, so that we can kind of have those fixtures model after the sunrise, sunset, circadian rhythm in your area. There's also family member customization. So all of you with kids, if you do not want them messing with the lighting, there is customization for family members. So let's say that you have teenagers and you don't want them changing the lights in the kitchen and the living room all the time, you can kind of scale back what they can do with their app. Maybe they can dim and turn on and off with their app. So you're able to set that customization level that you would like for every family member in the home. And then lastly, we have weather change triggers. So let's say on a cloudy day, we want our lights to come up to 100% full output. We can set that as a weather trigger. If we want our lights to change blue when it's raining outside, because that's how we feel, we can set that weather trigger as well. So there's all sorts of different weather triggers that we can add to change the lighting, both indoors and outdoors.
The one thing that I do want to mention as well is that you can also add homes to your app. You can give people access to your control. You can then remove it. So for example, if you have a rental home and you want that renter to have control of the lights in the house, you can give them permission. They can put in a code, they can control the lights while they're there, and then you can remove any sort of control that they have over the lights in your home.
Good point.
Why, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Now, here, and we have a slight technical difficulty earlier, but we'll see if we can figure it out. We have an actual project here that our rep in the Chicagoland area worked on. And we just kind of wanted to invite him on to talk about this project. And I hope that we can get him. He was having some mic issues earlier, but if we can get him on here, I am proud to introduce Stephen the Mustache Baroe.
Can you guys, can you hear me now? Alyssa?
Yeah.
All right, go, Stephen.
Yeah, you guys can hear me, right?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so, you know, we selected a really modest home to be the guinea pig for this product, obviously, as you can see. So, no, I'm just kidding. But so this is up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and this client had a different Bluetooth downlight system that they were trying to work on this home, and they were having a lot of connectivity issues. So we got them the Spektrum Plus. This was just last week. And my concern was these were not very tech savvy homeowners, but this was something they really quickly picked up on with the app. And having done a lot of installs of the original Spektrum product too in the past, I can say that I'm very happy with the robustness of this app and the Bluetooth connection specifically. I've had a lot of issues in the past where it was kind of difficult to get, you know, if you have 12 downlights or whatever it might be, synced together. there always seemed to be 1, 2, or 3 fixtures that just would never sync properly. And it would take, maybe 30 minutes, a lot longer than I would have liked. But this was really quick. In the upright corner of this image, that downlight is probably about 60 feet away from where we were standing with the remote control. And again, there was no issue. Everything was really well synced together. There was no lag across all of them. So I was very happy. The homeowner was very happy. The other thing that was nice too, and big pet peeve of mine, the old controller we had for Spektrum version 1, I think was kind of cheap, to be honest. It is what it was. But this new one is a little more robust, and I'm really happy with it. And even the homeowner was pretty content with it. So overall, I'm very excited. This install went great. They're very happy. They shot me a text message a couple days later and said everything's working fantastic with the remote. So yeah, good job, team. Looking forward to selling more of this. And thanks for letting me jump on here.
Thank you, Stephen. We appreciate it. Stephen's probably one of 10 installs that we've done around the country so far because this product has just come into stock. So as I mentioned before, we're stocked, we're ready. I think this is a great product to push even for the holidays because of all the outdoor fixtures that we have as well. And we didn't get into the individual fixtures and what their IP ratings are, but there are several that are outdoor. There are some that are just indoor, but great product for both interior and exterior projects.
Okay, and then lastly, we're just buttoning it up here, but I just wanted to give you a couple of resources as well that you can use. Our website for the Spektrum Plus landing page is absolutely killer. You can look at all of the fixtures that we have to offer. There are 10 videos on that landing page that are
3-minute videos.
3-minute videos that are super intuitive, that just help you step by step on setting these up, setting up the groups, the rooms, the hubs, pairing on Amazon Alexa or the Google Home. There's just a ton of resources on the website that can help you. And as always, if you need further assistance, we have our handy dandy technical support team here to help as well. I also want to make a note that we will be at Light Fair this year showing all of the Spektrum Plus products. So if you would like to stop on by, I would be delighted to show you all of those fixtures in action, as well as all of the controllability. So look forward to seeing you there if you'll be joining us in New York City.
And last but not least, we also have an app guide. So anyone that's looking for some exciting reading, it's about 200 pages, but goes into full detail of everything that you can do with the app. There are more pictures and words. So if that makes you feel a little bit better.
All right, folks, that's all we have for you today. We appreciate it so much that you were here to spend some time with us to talk about Spektrum Plus. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot us a note. You can reach me directly at Stone, S-T-O-N-E at AmericanLighting.com, or for more of a mouthful, you can type J Kirkpatrick at AmericanLighting.com, or you can reach us both at sales@AmericanLighting.com. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.